I want to pose a question to you all who's listening right now. And that question is, if I were to ask you, what are your body beliefs? Then what would you say? So like when you look in the mirror and when you look at your body, what beliefs do you hold about it? And the reason why I ask this question is because when it comes to our bodies, I've realized that we have unknowingly established a conditioned belief that either our bodies are unique, they're beautiful and deserving of love and acceptance, or that our bodies are inadequate, unlovable, and that other bodies that are different than ours are more deserving of love and approval. And these messages that we have in regards to the relationship that we've established with our bodies, they have been influenced by various sources, okay? Sources such as television, movies, magazines, the media, societal pressures, religion, to even our family dynamics, which I definitely want you all to pay attention to in terms of how our parents maybe have commented on our physical appearance, to even imposing dietary restrictions, to even body comparison, to maybe our siblings, our classmates, our friends, our cousins, which over time can form beliefs that your body falls short of expectations, that your body lacks desirability, to even that you must conform to a certain standard to be worthy of love and acceptance. Not to mention that the absence of diverse representation, it reinforces that belief that there is a specific type of body that is deemed to be acceptable, attractive, and desirable. And how you see your body impacts your self-esteem, which leads to things such as eating disorders, cosmetic surgery, suicidal thoughts, to even unhealthy dieting. And it's essential to clarify that this doesn't mean that you shouldn't pursue a healthier lifestyle. That's not what we're indicating here. It's crucial to recognize that there is no universal accepting standard of attractiveness for all individuals, meaning that it's not the same across the board. So embracing your uniqueness involves understanding that there is a wide range of body types and they all possess its own beauty and worth, and that there's no specific body type that serves as the ultimate standard for being considered lovable or unlovable. And that's really important. And what I wanted to do today is that I wanted to talk about it, but I didn't want to talk about it by myself.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring my home girl, my friend. Um, I met Jasmine back in 2019.
Mhm.
We actually wrote our book together.
Yeah.
We were in the same program to write our books. And that's how I met Jasmine. And when I tell you her energy is just off the chain. And when I met her at that time, she was working with mothers, Black mothers specifically in regards to fitness. And she's definitely pivoted from that. She's grown, she's evolved. She now is doing social media marketing, and she's also a messaging expert who guides and empowers high achieving coaches and consultants how to magnify their message, authentically connect with their audience, and convert them into loyal customers without ever having to sell.
Mm.
But I wanted Jasmine to come on to talk about something that's quite different. I wanted us
Yeah.
to talk about body confidence,
Mm.
and loving the skin that you're in, because that was a space that she dominated in very well. And I've seen Jasmine, her progress and her working with other women, and I wanted to talk about it because this is not about weight loss or weight gain. This is not what this conversation is about. This is about loving your body, you know, no matter where you are on the scale, no matter where
Mm.
you are, just loving the skin that you're in. And so without further ado, Jasmine, I appreciate you coming here. Thank you so much for being a guest today. I really appreciate it.
Yes, I'm so happy and ecstatic, and I don't know all the words to be here. Very, very much appreciative and honored to be on your platform again. I think you are amazing. You do amazing things, and I am super excited about this topic, honey. Yes, get me back to
Ye-
my space. So, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I was like, you know what? Jasmine will be perfect for this. And because I was like, who can I get to talk about this? And I instantly thought of you. So I called her and I was like, hey, girl, can you, get on the podcast and talk about this? And she was like, girl, yeah. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm glad that you're here. And I wanted to first open up a little bit about you in your journey of body confidence, because I think it starts with ourselves. And so, in regards to, you know, um, I know you not it hasn't been that long ago since you had your son, right?
Mhm.
And I know prior to him, you were very you I saw you working out. I saw
Yeah,
you in the gym. I saw you
yes.
very adamant about, fitness and women cultivating a healthier lifestyle. But prior to that, did you ever experience body confidence issues of your own?
Well, honestly, yes, I did. So, just going back to middle school, high school, actually, and my body confidence was a little bit different. The struggle in my body confidence was a little bit different than what it was when I got older. So when I was younger in my adolescence, my body confidence was low because I had more of an athletic build. I wasn't, so I'm from the deep south. I'm from Southwest Georgia, Camilla, Georgia to be exact, with their cornbread fed down there, honey. They like them shapely, baby. But I was just one of those females who were naturally muscular, very skinny, very petite, athletic body. I ran track, played basketball, things of that nature. And so when I was younger, just to be like quite honest, like the guys didn't go for girls like me. I was a little bit of a tomboy, again, very athletic, and they wanted something a little bit more curvier, more softer things, or that softer look. And so I struggle with my body confidence in that way because I'm like, oh, of course, I want to look like the other girls. Even so much so that I had friends who, and I don't know if you guys did this or heard about this or whatever, but I had friends who were literally on birth control just to gain weight, to get that shapely look. Wasn't engaging in sex or anything like that. And plus their parents were taking, precaution because we were younger and things happened. My mama wasn't having it. And I would have been crazy to ask her because I was tempted. I was like, honey, I want to get these shapes like everybody else. They out here thick and I want to be thick too. But mommy wasn't having it. But even contemplating that at a very young age and knowing that I had friends, like I said, that were on birth control just so that it could get thicker. Um, and so the confidence at that time was a little bit different. And as I grew older and got into adulthood, I still had that muscular build. And after having my first son, having that muscular build and just being an athlete really really paid off because that's when the snapback queen was born. Okay. um I was like at 100, and I had never been over 135 pounds at the time, and I think I got up to 190 at maybe 190 at birth of my first son Christian, who is 13 now. And I mean, in a matter of a few weeks, like lost it, was at one back down to like 165, and 160, 165 for me at that time was everywhere I had always wanted to be. Like I had my little curves, I still had my little muscles, like I was good. And so I felt really really good about myself. But then I ended up moving to Atlanta, so here I am, girl from Southwest Georgia, very limited eateries. We do, all the soul food and things like that, but there's no eating out. There's like not a variety of restaurants and things like that. So I moved to Atlanta where there's everything. Right. And I'm in education at the time. And the school that I'm actually working for, it was the first time that you could leave the campus for lunch to go to lunch. So, I'm following everybody else and I'm indulging in everything. Don't give me anything. Don't give me no food chains that they have down there from where I'm from. Give me everything else. And I started to eat. And before I knew it, I was bigger than life, honey. I was big.
Mhm.
And I noticed that my body confidence changed then because what I was used to and what I used to did not like, and what I was trying to get to, or what I thought I was trying to get to when I was younger, I done it and I overdone it. And so then I went on a mission to get back to me. And that was the very like first time to get back to me. Started working out really hard, and got back to my body, got back down to the 160, so to speak. And it's not about the number, it was really the look for me. But I know people can kind of like grasping numbers. And during that time, that's when I was introduced to the sport, the art of bodybuilding, just simply how my body started to shape and to form.
Mhm.
A gentleman I was dating at the time introduced me to bodybuilding, and I absolutely fell in love because it was the first time where pretty, beautiful women with muscular bodies had a space. And I was like, "Ooh, I found my people. Ooh, I found my tribe." Like, oh my God. And I learned so much about nutrition. I learned so much about the body and different types of body and what works and what doesn't. But I also, what a lot of people don't understand about bodybuilding is even in that, there then becomes a different type of look and thought process about your body. You're literally in a sport where you're being judged on how you look. And that can then take a toll on your thought process about how you look just naturally outside of when it's time to step on stage. And so, even going through that experience and looking at my body a little bit differently, getting it to where I needed it to be, where I wanted to be, where I felt like I was in the best shape of my life, I looked the most amazing. But it did come with some having to do mindset work because the body confidence changed for another reason. And so at this point, now we have three different thought processes about what the body is supposed to look like from adolescent to adulthood. And there are three different phases of life. And all in that space, one thing that I can say when it came to body confidence is that one thing that I had to do is get into my mind. I make a decision about what I needed and what I wanted for that to look like, what I wanted
Mm.
to look like in those spaces. And that's kind of like how it started for me. And from the bodybuilding thing, probably my second show, I found out I ended up finding out I was pregnant with my second son, which
Mhm.
took me into a whole nother um chapter of my life and a whole different body, because here I was, an athlete, a bodybuilder, someone who's looking at my body, best shape of my life. And now, guess what? My body's changed again. Now I'm back in mommy mode. I'm back in pregnancy mode. I'm back in, oh my God, I've done all of this work to look this good. And now the mom body is coming back. And I wasn't ready for it, especially thinking about the situation that I was going through at the time, which was very traumatic, which bloomed and blossomed into the business that you spoke of, the Black Fitness Mommy brand that I was able to build, the fitness business that I was able to relaunch. Because through that time and going through those seasons and spaces with my body and health and wellness, I became a personal trainer, a group trainer, and my goal was to help women, to help moms really, really start to love on their bodies and be very good to their bodies. And so here I am going through another space and another season that I thought was going to be so detrimental, that took me through some depression, but really blossomed to something very beautiful. It was really, really, really like truly a blessing in disguise, and allowed for me to connect with the women that were called to me, um, and gave me just a whole plethora of knowledge and information and what to do and what not to do and what you can do. And the realization, you said it earlier, that it's not one size fits all, that there's certain things that work for certain people, but it really comes down to how are you going to love yourself in the moment that you're not fond of, or most fond of, what you may look like in the mirror, what you may feel like inside. How do you find that space to love you where you are so you can love you beyond that to get to where you want to be?
No, that's good. I'm glad that you mentioned about having that athletic build, because I think the misunderstanding can also be if you're what society would consider to be overweight
Hmm.
or obese,
Hmm.
or whatever terminology word they like to use. But I think there's this misconception like, wow, you have such an athletic build. I mean, your body is like, you shouldn't have body confidence issues. You know what I mean? Even I didn't even think about bodybuilding,
Mhm.
and like somebody's literally judging your
Yes.
body, and the confidence around that in terms of what you perceive that to be about yourself can really
Mhm.
take a toll um on your mental health. It could
Yeah.
cause you to even feel like you have to work harder in the gym.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's mm, I didn't
Yeah.
even think about that.
Yeah, and most people don't. Like, it does take a level of confidence to get on that stage. For women, we're up there in bikinis, very skimpy bikinis, because they want to see your muscles, they want to see your build. But then every division, there are certain divisions, there are certain leagues, and then there are certain categories that you are. I was in figure at the time, so there was a certain structure of my body that my body had to be. So I had to have a coach that knew how to hit those specific places, or those specific muscles to sculpt me. That's why it's called bodybuilding, to sculpt me for as close to perfection to win. Okay. And you can go
Mhm,
very far in this sport. You can make a lot of money in this sport, but it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication, a lot of financial stuff, financial means as well, because there's just so many intricate pieces. And so think about pouring all of that into this one body, to get on stage, to have 4 to 5 people say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and either you can come out on top or you can't. And then you're looking at yourself like getting in the best shape of your life.
mhm,
And let's say on stage, to you, you're beautiful, but then there's an off season where you get a little softer, and
mhm.
if you don't have the right mindset, it's like, oh my God, what's happening to my body? Am I going to lose all my results? And so it takes a lot of mental capacity to even do that. And most people will see bodybuilders or fitness enthusiasts and like, oh my God, think that they're just all together here. And a lot of them are not. It's just the nature of the sport. So, like with anything, it takes a lot of mindset work. But we also find ourselves really, really indulging in that body shaming at some point,
What
lack
did
of
you
confidence. Yeah.
what were some of the mindset challenges that you found yourself having?
So, when I noticed with me, and then I also had a male cousin who I coached for a little bit. He got into the sport. I learned enough to coach him until he got his first pro card, and then we went on to a different coach that could get him further. But um, just the mindset of knowing that there is a stage body and then there's your body, and both are okay. Both are great.
Gotcha.
Just like
Right.
you have certain tools and resources that are meant to help you achieve a certain goal, that's the same thing with your body. And you have to know that's what you're doing. And um, when I got pregnant with my son, because my second son, Caleb, because of the situation that I was going through then, it was all of that like mixed into one. Like, I have this perfect body over here, and this sport that I found that I absolutely love, that I really get to hone in on what I've always loved, which is the way I was built, right? And I've poured so much into it, and now it's time for it to transition and shift. And I had to shift my mindset. Like, no, your body at this time is providing it's a different type of resource to get to a different type of goal. So fixing my mind and understanding, getting myself to a point that I can understand that just because we're not here in this bodybuilding world with this perfect body that you've made up in your mind, just because we're not here right now, doesn't mean you can't love where we're going with the vessel
Mhm.
that you have. So
Mm.
in all stages, that's what I mean, like really having to hone in and love on who you are and understand where you are and where you're going. What's the goal? So that was a mindset shift. Another mindset shift was like, it's a sport. It is a sport.
Mhm.
So reminding myself that it is what it is. It's a sport. It's not something that's going to be forever. It is something that you prepare for in the moment. And then once that is over and you go to looking what most people may feel normal or you're normal, that's okay too, because it's all a part of the process. And then also having the mindset that it all works together. It all works together. One thing that I noticed that my cousin, he got a whole lot of wins coming right into the sport. He looked amazing. But when that first loss came,
Mm,
it was like, and he works hard. He
right.
works really, really hard. And so when you hear those judges, when you get on stage, you've done all this work, and you hear those judges, say, oh, no, this, you get your feedback, and you start to question, am I doing the right thing?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
is my body good enough? Can my body do this? And
Hmm.
if your mindset isn't correct, if you, like my cousin, come in with all the good wins, and then the losses start to come, you start to question your value. You
Hmm.
start to question what you're doing. You start to question your steps, your resources. Am I going
Right.
in the right direction? Is this the right sport for me? And that stuff can spill over into other things in other parts of your life.
Right.
And also having the mindset to know that things on the outside of the sport can also spill over into the sport too. So that's why you have to do that mindset work and that confidence work, like full circle in all aspects of your life. Like you really have to be grounded into yourself to be successful.
No, I absolutely no, that's good. I love that. Separating the fact that this is a sport. This is not about whether or not if my body is good enough. Right. And I
Mhm.
and I think that was a good way to put it. Now, I know one of the things I saw, and it wasn't, it was something that you post. I know you posted your journey of your current weight loss after you had your son, right?
Mhm.
Um by the way, it looked amazing on both ends. That's just,
Thank you.
it was, but I love how vulnerable you was about your journey. Um, how was that for you? After having another child?
The
Um,
last one?
yeah, like because here's the thing, I think is it can be different during different times, especially if you have multiple children.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And the body changes so much in women. It's so much that goes on internally with our bodies, and just knowing that you've had to do this again.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
The last one was really rough.
Was it okay?
The Christian, my oldest, he was a breeze.
Hmm.
That was a breeze. It was, I enjoyed it. My second one, that was a lot because I was coming out of bodybuilding, and then the relationship that I was in. Then that was just a very, very emotional one. This last one was a tad bit emotional, but it was more physically on my body because I have scoliosis. I've had a back injury. I've also had a torn ACL. So I have a ACL repair, and I'm older. And so as we get older as women, like you said earlier, our bodies change, our hormones change, metabolism change. That there are so many changes that we really have no control over. So learning about those things through these processes is what has helped me. But the last one was extremely hard because I got heavier than I did with my second son. So each pregnancy, I've gotten heavier with each child. The other thing is that because I'm older, because I'm heavier, is weighing on my body differently. So I started to have troubles with my hips, and I could feel my hips spreading. And I was like, okay, it's just pregnancy. Your body is doing what it does. But it was something so off. I remember going to the doctor, and I was telling my doctor, I said, something is wrong, something isn't right. Yep, my back is hurting, my hips are hurting though. And there were times that I could barely walk. And I remember walking out of a doctor's appointment one time, and she was walking behind me, and she noticed that my hips were totally off. And so now we have a knee injury, back injury, hip. Now you're heavier. And so I'm used to being very active, when I'm pregnant. And so this was the first time that I wanted to be active, but I just felt like my body couldn't be. But then
Mhm.
I was in this cycle because I was like, Jazz, if you could just get up and move, maybe you'll feel better. But I couldn't get up and move because I was hurting. So it's like being trapped in that cycle, that the one thing that you need to do, you can't do because it's painful. And so I had to be real with myself, being like, what are your limits? And once I found out what the limits were, but what can you do?
Mhm.
And so going through that pregnancy, going through those changes with my body after I had my son, um, I don't know if it was the epidural this time. I've had 3 C-sections. I don't know, and that recovery is hard. It's very, very hard.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't know if it was the epidural that I got this time. I don't know what it
Mhm.
was, but all I remember is in the hospital, while I'm on the medications and everything, I could walk. I was fine. Once I got discharged and got home, we had made this whole plan that we are going to bring everything downstairs. I wasn't going to go upstairs, and we were just going to take care for the baby down here. But I just couldn't move like I needed to. Like I needed to be in the bed, and I could remember getting up and my husband saying, like, let's just go upstairs. And girl, I couldn't walk. I could not, like, it was hard. It was painful. And I'm like, what
Mhm.
is going on? And I was trying to go up the stairs and I could not lift my feet. Like, it was like my mind and my feet, like, it wasn't connecting.
Mhm.
And I got scared. So my husband had to take everything upstairs. And I'm sitting downstairs crying, like, oh my God, like, I can't move. And he ended up having to help me walk upstairs or he couldn't even carry me because I was still so heavy. Um, and that pregnancy, I was immobile for about 2 weeks. And then I could not walk unassisted, whether it was somebody holding me or me holding on to the wall. I couldn't do that by myself for about another week and a half. And so that was very scary. And that's a part that a lot of people didn't know. And so it had a lot to do with my hips. I couldn't get the swelling down in my legs. Um, just, being a new mom, my body trying to heal, and it was very stressful. And then at that time, um i was I was full blown entrepreneur, and I had made the shift, but I had also made the decision to go back in the classroom, and I left right before I had my son, just so that we can get some finances and stuff together. But there were a lot of emotional things that were going on too that affected my body. So that's why I'm big on your emotions, or your emotion affects your emotions. So the more that I was immobile, the more emotional I became. And so watching my body go through that transition, dealing with those new ailments, dealing with the old ones getting a little bit worse, and being heavy at the time and really couldn't do much, it took a really big toll on my thought process and, of course, my confidence at the time. But luckily, I had done a lot of inner work that I could keep myself leveled out
Right.
enough to try to get back. But that last journey, this last one, has been hard. When I did come to a point where I could walk a little bit more, where I was a little bit more mobile, where I was a little bit more actionable, I made the decision that I wanted to lose the weight. And me, I am big on coaches, I am big on mentors. Yes, I am. Yes, I've been a personal trainer, a group trainer. I've helped women lose 13, 14, 21 pounds in 21 days, still have that knowledge, still have that expertise, still do it to this day. But I believe that every good coach, every good mentor has a coach and a mentor and somebody to guide them. There's always something that you can't see. And so I went and hired a personal trainer, which taught me another lesson, because all personal trainers are not created equal. And so here I am with a newborn, trying to figure out how to get to the gym at 5:30 in the morning, for sometimes for my trainer not to show up. So then that causes a whole nother emotional thing, because you haven't gotten any sleep, you haven't gotten any rest, but you're going to the gym, you're trying to work out, you get back home, you're being the mom, now you're getting your kids up. Instead of one child, that you had at one time, and 2 children. That third one brings a whole different aspect
Mhm.
to to the month. And so
Yes.
now having to get 3 children ready for the
Mhm.
day so you can go to work and try to eat properly and then try to serve other people's children. It was just a lot on the mental and it was a lot on the body. And I struggled a lot to lose the weight that last time. So I had to fire that trainer. And I just had to get my emotional state back too, because I really didn't want to be back in the classroom. I wanted to be doing something differently. And I was at a school at the time when they hired me. My doctor didn't even want me to go back to work because I wasn't well. But you know how we get in those spaces where we just have to do what we have to do because we got to do what we got to do. Bills got to be paid. You got responsibilities. And honestly, most times, people don't care about how you feel. They just care about what you can get done. And so
True.
I remember getting hired at that job. And it was right at the end of my 6 weeks. And 6 weeks was not enough. It was right at the end of my 6 weeks. Mind you, I'm still a little bit immobile. And I remember holding my 6-week old son in my arms, accepting that job, crying, feeling horrible in my body, feeling horrible in my spirit. Um, and but I was grateful at the same time because it forced me to get up and get moving again
Mhm.
and to face and accept what needed to be changed in order
Okay.
to give me a different type of motivation. Um, and so, yeah, again, it was just a decision that I made that I wanted to get me back, that I wanted to get my body back, and that it was time for me to choose me again.
Yeah, I love that. I wanted to ask a question because I know that, what I definitely want to make sure that gets heavily influenced is still choosing to love your body on the journey of,
Oh, yeah.
or even being okay with the body you have, right?
Hmm.
Whatever works for you. And I know that you worked with women in the past
Hmm.
because it was called Black Fitness Mommy, I think, right?
Hmm. Yep.
And so I'm sure you work with women. Of course, they were mothers.
Hmm.
Um, they may have been married, some may have been single mothers. What were some of the struggles that they had? Not in a way of just losing weight, gaining weight, wanting to tone, not that.
Yeah.
What were they struggling with internally?
Self
Um,
prioritization.
what now?
Self prioritization. Loving
Meaning,
themselves.
mm-hmm,
Choosing themselves.
mm-hmm,
Um, And I'm glad you asked that question. And honestly, let me say this, Tanya, my whole mantra that I live by now and that I really started to replicate in my brand and for when I work with women actually was birthed on the podcast here. Because you asked me in that season, like, what made you be able to do this and to do that and to take this situation and blossom? And I said, I chose me. And so my whole mantra became choose you and watch everything else choose you too. Keep yourself at the top of your priority list. And so that is what I started to really, really push. And so in my groups, I noticed that there were women that were really, really like killing it, striving. And I'm talking about just doing it effortlessly. And I wondered like what was that? And I realized what it was is that those women gave themselves permission to prioritize themselves, gave themselves permission to keep themselves at the top of their priority list. They gave themselves the permission to become self aware and to know and understand that it was okay. Sometimes we have these misconceptions, and they can be biblical, they can be things that society has um, ingrained in us to make us feel like we have to put other people before us all the time. And one of the sayings I love in the Bible where they're like where God is like love thy neighbor as thyself.
mm-hmm.
That means that you have to first know how to love you, and that's holistically. That's inner, spiritually, mentally. You have to love on yourself first. And what I found was that a lot of the women were pouring into other people and neglecting themselves all the way. And the struggles that they had was if they wanted to lose weight, it was for something or somebody else outside of themselves.
Mm.
And
That's the part
so,
that I was trying to I
yeah,
wanted to see what it really was
yeah,
deeply
yeah,
about, right?
they were doing it for other reasons. So one of my rules in my group was that you do this solely for you, because as women we tend to forget that we came into this world alone, and we do a lot of the work that we do with this vessel. And so if we don't take care of this vessel, and if we don't make the decision to take care of this vessel for us, for solely us. And I used to tell people, I don't do this for my children. I don't do this. I don't take care of my body for my children. Now, how I take care of my body, how I prioritize myself, the byproduct, my children get taken care of. You know,
Mhm.
I'm able to do the things that I need to do for them, for my clients and everything. But I do this for me. I used to call it selfish until my therapist corrected me. She said, it's not selfish, it's self-preservation. You have to preserve yourself in order to be able to do the things that we're called to do, to pour into the people that we are called to pour into. And so the women that I was coming in contact with were not loving themselves. They were doing and making decisions solely on other people and other things and to meet goals, and they were nowhere in the equation. And that was the number one mistake that they made.
Mm. So what were some of those things? Was it what their parents told them, what their spouses may have told them, their partners may have told them?
So
Um,
it depends on the woman because it's
right.
all of that. Like I
Mhm.
said, I come from a small town in Southwest Georgia, and this is where we eat. And men like a little meat on their bones, right? So you
Mhm.
don't want no skinny woman. And if you're skinny and you're muscular, then you automatically are put in this category to where your sexual preferences are then questioned.
Mm.
You know, what you
Gotcha.
like, what you don't like. And people start to make these different assumptions about you. Or you know, that whole thought process that if you and I aren't the same size, that means that you're unhealthy and I'm not, you know, and that is not the truth too. So it's a plethora of things, and that's why it was very important for me as a coach and a mentor to get into the thought process of where these women were, to be able to bring them to the self-awareness and the self-acceptance so that they could
Mhm.
change what they needed to change, and then
Yep.
to let them know and to show them specifically again how your motion. I'm all about movement. I don't care how you move, really. You know me, I decided I can go to the gym, I box, I lift heavy weights. That's what I love to do, but I love to do it in that way, especially in this season now. My encouragement is get up and move. I don't care how you do it. Do it the way that you
Right.
love to do it, because we
Mhm.
do things better, longer, and we do things with more effort when we love to do them. We have gotten away from women. Women would get away from even knowing who they were and what they liked. We operate off of what other people need from us and not what we need internally.
Right.
That's how we
And so
operate.
you find yourself even changing your body
Absolutely.
to fit the standard as well.
Right. To
Mhm.
fit the standard. But what is the standard? Because nobody
Correct.
really knows.
Because there really isn't one. It's not
And
a
there isn't one.
exactly. Right.
There
Mm.
isn't. So though, yes, struggles from things that they've heard in the past that they've grown up with, like different traditions, way of eating,
Mhm.
um, trying to please the body preference of maybe a partner that they would like to be with, a relationship they would like to be in, trying to fit into their friend groups, you know, and doing things to match what they thought the aesthetic should be, um, and always focus on outward things rather than inward peace of self.
Mm. So
That's
I know
those
you
struggles.
I know you said something along the lines of, because I know we focus on, divorces and breakups here on the
Mhm.
podcast. And I know you mentioned about even meeting the requirements of their relationship.
Mm.
How
Yeah.
heavy is that? And what are the what are some of the areas that they tend to feel like they need to change in terms of their body?
So just, being totally honest,
That's
the
what we
first
want.
area
Yeah.
when they would want to change, it does go into their sexual experiences and how confident they
Mm,
feel in the bedroom, how confident they feel naked, physically and
mhm,
emotionally.
mm,
Um, and again, even with that, even like wanting to please a partner,
mm,
even with that,
mhm,
it was still the goal would still be to please the partner, not to change the body so that you love what you look at in the mirror, regardless
right.
of what somebody else says.
Mm,
That when you step out the bed and you look at yourself and you be like, girl, I'm talking about
right.
I had to get to a point myself I had to do the same work that I would help women do, especially this last time. Like really doing, I call it mirror work, pointing out those things and being awareness of the things that I didn't quite like about my body. And then finding reasons to love them. Like my mommy marks on my stomach. I hated them things.
Mhm,
Baby, I was the girl in college that always had on a crop top. I was on a dance team. I always had on a crop top.
mm,
I probably had on me some little skimpy shorts or something with sports bra, like I dress now as an athlete. I did that in college, but I had this nice six pack with this beautiful stomach. And I remember the first time when I had my first son, after I had him, the first thing I asked my husband, like, what my stomach look like? Do I got stretch marks? That's why I hated it. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, golly. But then looking at those marks and being like, you know what? Those marks are an indication that God gave me the blessing and the honor of being a giver of life.
mm.
And it happened.
And when
And
your husband said that, did it make you feel some type of way?
oh yeah, girl, I was mad. I was mad.
Mm,
I was mad. My beautiful stomach was messed up, honey. I was mad. And of course, with the first child, they weren't as significant as they are now. But I can say that I accept them. I love them now. Like, and I know there's women on the internet that have made businesses out of their imperfections. And you know
sure have.
why? Because a lot of us feel we relate and we
Mhm,
wish we could be that confident.
correct. That is true.
Yeah.
Mhm,
So the struggles would be struggles with, wanting to please a partner, whether that was aesthetically, wanting to, feel more confident in the bedroom. And it was even the stamina in the bedroom as well, being able to do the things that they felt would please their partners. My only drawback to all of that was that they wanted to do solely for their partners, but it didn't come from a sense of, do you really want to do this because you want to do
right.
do you really want to change your body because of that? The other things, jobs, they feel that they looked a certain way if they behaved a certain way, if they carried themselves, the hair was a certain way, that they could achieve certain goals when it came to their careers. And Also being confident. Like there are a lot of my clients that had roles where they had to speak a lot, or they had to be in front of audience and things of that nature, and they wanted to feel mostly confident about those things as well. But a lot of times it came down to those relationships, those intimate relationships that they shared with either romantic partners or friendships.
Mm, that's good. And I know we're talking about women, but I know I kind of want to talk about men too for a moment, because this body confidence and body image doesn't just impact women,
Mm-mm.
right? It also, you started smiling. So I'm assuming you've heard, because I'm sure that even in working with women, you've had to talk to men, and in terms of their body confidence, what are some of the things that you've heard from them?
So from men, they now it's not as hard on them from my experience. It's
Okay.
they don't have the same mental structure or the mental strain to be perfect in their bodies as we do.
Hmm.
Because remember, men are aesthetic. So they want something good to look at. Now, that's not to say that we're not. But they're more aesthetic. And they are more worried about being providers and, taking care of things outside of their bodies. So they kind of let that go to the wayside. But one thing that I can say, even dealing with my husband, was when I started to work and chisel and look good, like he wanted to jump on. And when I was able to help him lose 20 pounds in less than 4 weeks, and he started to see how his body changed, how he felt, how much more energy he had, then that's kind of like where you get the men. And also with men, for them, as far as their body confidence, it's like, how am I gonna look and stand in the room with another man? Like it's more of a alpha type thing. Like
Hmm.
how does my structure stand up with them? But they aren't as hard on themselves as we are, and they take a little bit more time um to get to a point to where, oh, let me go to the gym. um Even now, every gym that I've ever been to, every trainer that I've ever had, it's always been more women in there than men. But one thing about a man, once he gets on, he's usually on. And once he feels and sees himself in that manner, he usually keeps going. So so for men, it's not the same with them, but they do have body confidence issues and challenges as well. Even speaking back to my cousin, like, but his challenge is a little bit different. He's very fit. He looks freaking amazing, but it's like, how can I do more? How can I look better? How can I look better? That was his whole struggle. But yeah, men, we're so different in so many aspects. But one thing I do know about men, if they have a woman that they know that that woman is a priority of hers to take care of herself, um most men are either going to shrink or step up to the standard, because at that point in time, it what we do with our bodies also affects the way men look at us and how they handle us, and how they prioritize us by how we handle ourselves. So I think that has that's a whole conversation in itself, in how we lead by example with health and wellness, and how men will follow suit. They don't want to be, they feel like they're superior, and they
Hmm.
don't really want to be inferior to the women, even in their bodies, even in their health. So
Yeah. How does a person detach from the unconscious conditionings that they have about how their body should look, right? Thinking that I have to have a six pack. Um I have to have this certain type of what people would define as thickness,
mm,
or I got to have a behind that, BBL, right? All these different things that we unconsciously have, or maybe consciously have, and think that we have to change it. How can someone just appreciate the body that they got? You know what I mean? Like knowing that, and I think here's where I'm trying to go with this, right? So I used to be 240 pounds.
mhm,
Okay. And I lost 80 pounds. But one of the things that I failed to understand and do was love my body in between. I thought that, okay, if I got here, I love my body. But when I got there, I still felt like I needed to change something, whether it was some thighs, some legs, something. And I
mhm.
was psychologically, I still had this body belief that my body should look a certain type of way. So I became so obsessed with it. And so I guess my point is, regardless if somebody wants to change their body or not. Because I'm not here to. But my
Yeah.
question is, how can I feel safe? How can I feel secure? How can I feel sexy in my body right now? If that makes sense.
Yeah. And what I'm gonna say is gonna sound very, very simple. And it's gonna be like, it can't just be that, but it is just this.
Hmm.
Um, you have to make a decision to do it. And you have to cut out the distractions. I believe in motivators, right? I believe in having a visual of what it is you may want to look like. For instance, when I first hired my bodybuilding coach, he was like, "What are your goals?" I didn't give him a number goal. I didn't give him
Mm.
a scale goal. I said, "I want to look like a track star." That was it. And then I had it in my mind. And the reason why I think that images are important to have is because it helps you on the journey of knowing where you're going. But that's not to say to be consumed with it, because if you're consumed with it, it can have all negative effects. And like you said, you'll get to a point where it's like, I need to change something. I need to change something. I need to change something.
Hmm.
In those moments, I would encourage women to be like, even though you need to change that, what do you love though? What are you proud about? You know what I mean? What is it that you absolutely adore? So yeah, for me, even right now, I want to lose a little bit more of my stomach. But what do I love? These shoulders, these arms, these back be backing. You know what I mean? This butt be button. I love it. So you have to find the things that you absolutely love. That while you're picking out those things that you still want to improve on, and call it improvement. Don't beat yourself down about it. You know what I mean? And so if I were you, Tanya, I would, if you're working with me, I'm going to constantly say, okay, but what do you love?
Hmm. And that's a tough journey,
Hmm.
especially when you've been told, when you've been body shamed, maybe your whole life,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So that was something that I had to unlearn more so than losing the weight. I was
Yeah.
like, I needed to unlearn what was told to me about my
Yes.
body,
Uh-huh. That's
and
another step of it.
challenge that belief,
Hmm.
right? Instead of saying, well, you know what? I don't appreciate my body, like knowing that this is the body that gets me up in the morning to
Yeah.
take care of my affairs, to get to my kids' functions. I had one of my clients tell me, I love my womb because this is where I had my kids. Because we actually have to do an exercise in
Hmm.
in my program to really understand and to have a deep appreciation for your body.
Yeah.
So that's why I really wanted people to understand it does start with making a decision
Yeah.
in regards to how you see yourself in the mirror. Because I remember you said something about mirror work, right?
Hmm.
And what is mirror work?
So it's simply getting a mirror,
Hmm.
getting naked, and looking at yourself and appreciating yourself. And even being real about the things that you don't like.
Hmm.
And then saying, "Hey, how can I change this? How can I change this for me though?" Um, Another step to it is being honest with yourself about what you don't like, why you don't like, where did those thought processes come from? Because
That's
it
good.
takes work to debunk those things. Like you said, to unlearn and relearn other things. But you have to be honest about, okay, what was I told about my body? Why was it true or untrue? What things shape the way I think about the way I look about myself? And do I believe that? And if I believe it, why?
Mm.
What about what I'm living and what I've learned? What are those things that align? And so you have to get to a point to where you can think your way through, ask certain questions, become very self-aware so that you can start to identify the lies that you were
Hmm.
told. And if
Mm.
you
I
can,
love that.
yeah, start to identify the lies that you've been told. And then look at the people that told them to you. Because a lot of time we accept other people's stories of us. You know what I mean? And they're unqualified. They're
Extremely.
they're, they're unqualified.
Hmm. Or
So
they're putting their
how
own insecurities on
it's their
you.
own insecurities and they're usually projecting,
Hmm.
right? And because they didn't have the confidence enough to do what they needed to do for themselves, they project that onto other people. And that thing is true. Misery loves company. And people will figure out a way to help you in the name of just wanting you to be miserable along with them. And so you really have to find your truth. Your truth may be different than mine. You know, I'm
Mhm.
I'm I'm sitting up here 170 pounds right now. And when I tell most people, they can't believe it. Yeah, I'm 170 pounds. A lot of it is muscle. I have another look that I want to get to, but it's because that's how I want to look. It's not for anybody else. So when my mama was telling me, when my mama gets mad at me because when I go down there, she try to cook me bacon and I don't eat it. She's like, "Well, you grew up eating bacon, and baby, that's probably how I grew up, but that doesn't mean that's how I have to live my life. That
Right.
doesn't mean that anything is wrong with me. This means that this is my preference. There's certain things that I've learned. There's certain information that I've acquired over time that tells me that the vessel that I have that allows for me to do the work that God has allowed for me to do requires me to do something different.
Yeah.
And just because you and me, mom, made it, this stuff ain't the same. And I have the ability and the opportunity to access more or to access better, and that's what I'm going to do. So you can't tell me anything about my body. You're not qualified to tell me about my body and the way I live and the way I roll. Like that, you're not qualified. So we have to do that deep work. Like, where do you get this thought process from? And how
Mhm.
do we debunk it?
And then shutting it down,
Mhm.
with all due respect. I mean, even with our parents, we
Yeah,
love them, but some of the things that's been said, it just don't align.
yeah.
And it's like, I love you, mom, dad, sister, whomever, but let's just stop this right now. Like let's put a pin in it because this
Boundaries.
ain't right. Setting that boundary, right?
Mhm.
So no, I totally get it, and I love that, and I know we're kind of pressed for time, but I know you mentioned about making a decision and choosing to see your body in a different light and in a different perspective. And you already know it's somebody out there like, well, if I want to lose weight, or if I want to gain weight, or if I want to achieve a certain body tone, I don't know about that, Jasmine. How can I balance those goals and simultaneously love my body at the same time, or be on the journey of feeling confident in my body? And I think that can be the difficult part, knowing that there are some things I want to change,
Mhm.
that I desire to change. However, when I look in the mirror, I don't see what everybody else sees.
Mhm.
How do I bring those together and still accomplish my goal?
Um, so it's not as hard as people make it. Sometimes we make things a little bit harder than what it is. The hardest part is
Mhm.
making the decision. That's the hardest part.
It is.
The hardest part is making the decision because the confidence comes after, well, it comes before. It takes confidence to make the decision. And then once you make the decision and you start to break it down piece by piece, go after it piece by piece, then you start to build confidence along the journey because sometimes, most times, oftentimes, women just start to focus on are the pounds coming off.
Yes.
I didn't let my clients, they couldn't get on a scale.
Mm.
They couldn't get on the scale. They had to find any and everything else that they could find to celebrate a quick win, a small win. We celebrated it all. So, of course, when they first got into the program, they got a chance to step on the scale, tell me what it was, because we know we go by numbers, whatever. And then at the very end, and my program was only 21 days. And so you got on that scale that first day. You sent me progress pictures every week. You didn't get on the scale to the end. And so I wanted my women, my way of encouraging them to look at themselves, to look at their progress pictures. Because when you look at your pictures, you get to see what other people see. When you get to look at your side by side pictures, you get to see what other people see. So you have to start to find those small things along the journey that are working. We know what the
Yeah.
big goal is, but we're not focused there. We're focused on the bits and pieces in between. And so once you feel those waist beads drop a little bit, right? We get excited. You celebrate that. When you could only do half a gallon of water, now you can do a whole gallon. You celebrate
Mhm.
that.
That's
When
good.
you're
Yeah.
no longer dreading eating, not being able to eat a fast food meal, but you're actually looking forward to a good wholehearted meal, you celebrate that. And so you have to find other things to celebrate along the journey. That is what's going to build your confidence. Action is the only thing that builds confidence. Because and the thing with that, action is the only thing that's going to get you to a place to where you can be confident, to where you start to see the thing that you want to see in order to build your confidence. The only way to build confidence is to take action. And as you're taking that action, then you have to become very self aware. That's a lot of work, but you have to become very self aware and be honest with yourself about what you're thinking, why you're thinking it, where is it coming from, dissecting it, and debunking it, and then replacing it with your truth, not somebody else's.
Mhm. And that's a big action.
Yeah.
Right. So this action that I believe you're talking about is not just movement in terms of physical. It's
Mm-mm.
about dying to what we told ourselves in terms of our belief system. So all
Yeah.
these are different actions and realizing that, hey, it was a time where I used to replay all the time that my body wasn't enough. And I realized that, you know what? I'm slowly but surely detaching from that.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to see myself being, desirable and lovable as I am at this present moment. That's a pretty big deal.
You just take it step by step. That's really the only way to do it. It's no, ladies, there's no quick fix.
Mhm.
Um there is there's no sustainability in quick fixes anyways.
Mhm.
And so it's about learning the things that work for you, adding in what makes you happy, what makes you go. But it's literally a step-by-step process. When I went back into the gym with my new trainer, I went in looking at all these women who to me look amazing. And
Mhm.
here I am at 220 pounds, heaviest I ever been.
Mm.
A former bodybuilder,
Yeah.
who was called a snapback queen, not because I did it one time, but because I did it two, baby. And I could snap back this third time. Like I'm going in and I can only lift 10, 15, 20 pounds where I used to roll 75, 80, 90 pounds. Like
Right.
that's the big difference. But I
Mhm.
actually had to tell myself, you get up and you show up every day. I put it on my calendar. I prioritized it. I started to create the life around what I knew I needed to do for myself in order to be able to do everything else. That is the real work. Telling yourself it's okay, giving yourself the permission to prioritize yourself, giving yourself the permission to love yourself right where you are, to tell yourself that in this moment, even with the things that I do not like, I am still enough, that I'm
Mhm.
still here for a purpose and for a reason, and believing that. See, a lot of women don't believe it. You have to believe it.
It is. Yeah.
And when you start to believe that in yourself, you motivate yourself.
Mhm.
You become very disciplined and you motivate yourself. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, I'm going to the gym. Oh, I'm gonna go to the gym. I just started going to the gym 3 days a week. I started going to when I hired my new trainer, I started going to the gym 3 days a week. Then 3 days a week became 4 days a week. And then one workout a day became two workouts a day. I found a way to fit in my schedule, but that's what worked for me.
Right.
And as I seen myself slimming down, it was like, okay, y'all gonna mess around and let your girl get back. And boom, before I knew it, I was there.
Mhm.
I was there. And now, do I have other goals? Yeah. But am I pressed about them? Not so much, because I know I'm gonna get there.
Right.
I know I'm gonna get there if I do
They're
this.
goals that you wanted. This is not someone's telling you this what you need to do. And I think that's the like, why are you doing what you're doing?
Mhm,
And that was very, very important.
mhm.
I absolutely love that. I know you talked about bringing Black Fitness Mommy back. You gonna bring it back. Look at me. You bringing it back, girl.
Well, you know what? So Black Fitness Mommy is on the submerge.
Okay.
It is coming back. She's coming back a little bit differently because I love
Mhm.
the conversation that we're having. Most times you get trainers um and you get these plans and there's a very specific way to do everything. And one thing that's different about the bodybuilding me and the lifestyle fit me is that when you're bodybuilding, you have to be very strict, very structured, because you're doing something very specific. When you're doing this as a lifestyle change,
Mhm.
the most important thing to do is to enjoy it.
I love that you said that. Yeah.
Is to enjoy it.
Mhm.
So Black Fitness Mommy, my program is coming back. It's gonna come back a little bit different. I'm thinking about doing. Oh, I am gonna do something digital. Um, but even when I work with my clients now, my focus is messaging, movement, and motivation. That's what it is. Even with working with my clients, because I believe that a lot of the work that high achieving women who are in this market space, whether you're a career woman or you're in entrepreneurship, because I do both, I got a 9 to 5 side hustle and I run my business, it takes a level of self prioritization for me to be able to accomplish all those things. It takes movement in my mind, spirit, and my body in order for me to have the capacity to do the things that I do.
Mhm.
Um, so having a program where there are specific categories that you need to fill, but you fill them up with the things that you would enjoy to do, that you would enjoy doing, that will get you to your goal. So, say for instance, if there is 20 to 30 minutes of movement today, a day today, what does that look like for you?
Mhm.
For me, it's going to be hitting that gym, but for you, it could be a Tabata class. It could be simply walking. It could be Pilates, but you have to prioritize that into your day. Like that is the
Mhm.
goal.
Yeah.
What does body maintenance look like for you this week? Right? Because a lot of people don't know that. They go to the gym, they work out, and they don't get any maintenance on their bodies. And a lot of people don't hit their goals because you're doing all this wear and tear on your body, but you're not getting any maintenance, right? So, what
Yeah,
does
that's
body
good.
maintenance look like? Does it look like your massage today? Does it look like some grasping work? Like, okay, also in the category, what's going to make you feel beautiful today? Like, what is
That's
something that
good.
you would do that's going to make you feel absolutely stunning today? Okay. And you're going to do that. So that's how Black Fitness Mommy is coming about, because I really want women to start to internalize and start to go inward to see what is it that I enjoy and how can I incorporate those things that I enjoy in a very healthy way to move me to my body goals if I have them, to
What
move
about the food?
out of this stagnation that I may have in my business right now.
Mhm.
I have a coach that says you can't build a business bigger than you build yourself. And I take it a little bit further and I say you can't build anything bigger than you build yourself, whether it's your business, whether it's your family, whether it's your romantic relationships, platonic relationships with your friends. You are no better than you can give no better than what you give yourself. And
Mhm.
so that's what Black Fitness Mommy is going to be about. How can you continue to self prioritize yourself and pour into yourself so that you can fulfill all of these things, and not in the way that society says that you have
Mhm.
to, but taking things that society has built, finding out what are those things that you totally enjoy, incorporating them into this skeletal plan and meeting your goals. That's how Black Fitness Mommy is going to come back.
I love that. What about the food part of it all? Like, just
Oh,
knowing their relationship with the food,
nutrition
because
is key. So right
yeah.
now, my trainer, he has a phenomenal nutrition line. And one thing about me, that's really the the core of the physical part. Most people think it's going to the gym. No, I lost my first 20 pounds after Caleb with just food because I couldn't move. I couldn't do a lot of stuff because I had 2 kids at that time. And then the next 10 pounds that I lost when I was immobile with Kingston, which was my youngest, came from the food. And so it's all about nutrition. So even right now, I have become a part of his business. It's called Shake Some Cafe. I've become a part of his business, and he has great natural products depending on what it is, what your goals are. So great meal replacements, great protein shakes, um great things for people who might want to build and tone muscle, who like to lift the way that I do. But those people who listen, I'm on the go, I'm on the move. What can I eat? What can I grab? What's going to be good? And so that was another thing that made Black Fitness Mommy very, very successful, is because I taught nutrition. I
Yeah.
taught nutrition, and you only had to move 20 minutes a day. That was the cap. But learning these labels, learning how your body works, learning what should or should not be going into women's bodies at what different stages, different things that you can do, as far as like fasting, what that looks like for you, what it may not look like for you, what are the changes that, all of those things. It's mostly about nutrition. You can lose weight without even moving. It's just that the movement speeds it up. And the movement, again, your motion affects your emotions. And a lot of women make emotional decisions. So I need you in a very good emotional state to even go inward to make the decision to do the things that you need to do for yourself, that's going to help you be confident and continue on your journey. So that's why I get them up and moving in the way that they feel like it's necessary and good for them at that moment. But yeah, I teach nutrition as well. That's the
Oh,
big
I
one.
love that. I love that. So it's a little bit of rebranding there,
Oh
restructuring
yeah.
there, and that goes in even just your own personal experiences now,
Mm-hmm.
especially your last experience with your child. I'm sure it changed
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things in terms of
Yeah.
how you see things, and I get it. I've lost weight so many times. Lord have mercy, girl. I've done it like 2 to 3 times, and I was like, okay, why am I really doing this? And one of the things that I realized what helped me, because this year I did have a goal to lose weight, but it had nothing to do with for somebody else. I needed to drop about 20 pounds because I was sluggish, and
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of things, that I'm doing, and my energy is so vital. My energy
Mm-hmm.
has changed a lot over the last few years,
Yeah.
and it's certain foods that my body just don't like. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
and it's not even the fact that it's what would society would consider unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't work for my body. So I had to learn my body again, learn what it likes, what it doesn't like.
Self-awareness.
Yeah, self-awareness, just all these types of things. And so that was my biggest motivator, was just having the energy, because my energy was off. And I was like, I gotta have my energy. And so
I'm
any
glad
final
you said that
words?
because
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm glad you said that because that's the one reason why I have chosen the space of high achieving women.
Hmm.
You're a high achieving woman.
Yeah.
Yes. And most high achieving women, especially at our ages, most women are moms. Now, if they're not moms, they're my fit aunties. We're good there too. Um, but we have so many things that we have to do. We're a part of businesses. We have our own businesses, we have our own careers, we have our
Hmm.
children we have to take care of. And so
Yep.
it's very important that while we're giving all of us to all of these demanding things, that when we pour into ourselves, that things are just a little bit easier for them, for us. Easy on us mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, but effective.
Yeah.
Because I think that we've ingrained in our minds that in order for anything to work, it has to be hard. It doesn't.
Oh, listen. Oh, girl.
It ain't got to be
That
hard.
is so. And let me tell you, you know what else I discovered? When I lost this weight when I was 29, I went hard on my body. And
Mm-hmm.
I realized that my body doesn't like that kind of hard anymore.
Mm-mm.
I don't have to, that hour stuff. It's like, 30 minutes, girl. That's all you getting out of me.
Yep.
And that was something I had to unlearn, because I
Mm-hmm.
thought everything had to be, I like a little challenge. Don't get me
Yes.
wrong. But
Yeah.
the intensity of what I did at 29, and
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't have to do that. Your
No.
body is too much. And I was like, you can actually overly work out.
Oh,
And I was
absolutely.
right. And I was like, okay, you got to unlearn this, Tanya. Like that was hard for me
Yeah.
because I did, I love me some Sean T. And when he had that insanity, that's
Yeah.
how I lost my weight when I was 29.
Yeah.
But baby, I love Sean T, but baby, not now. Like we
It's
gonna have to do something.
yeah,
Like
it's
I can't
funny.
do.
It's funny. We my trainer last year, every year he has this thing called Diet December where he gives
Mm-hmm.
us a specific plan. He gives us these goals. And it's funny because he came around and he told me what my goal was. And I had already told myself what my goal was. And his goal was lower than what my goal was. So baby, like again, I do this for me. And so I noticed that some of the younger girls were like, "What are you doing?" And
Right.
they would literally be working out 3, 4 times a day. Y'all can do that. I need to get this in the morning. I'm gonna go do my 20 minutes of cardio after I do this class and this class. And I'm doing these classes because I love it. They're fun to me. I like pushing heavy weight. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then I'm gonna go do this 20 minutes of cardio, and it's not gonna be anything hard or strenuous because I just did all this hard work. I'm gonna eat well. I'm gonna eat well and I'm gonna rest more. That's another key
That
point.
part. Yeah,
It's the resting.
the
People don't
resting.
know that's not the secret, Jim. That's not a secret. People think, oh, I
Mhm.
gotta do all of this. No, go sleep. Go
Go to
sleep.
bed. Look,
Think go sleep,
go,
sis.
go rest.
Go
Yes. Oh
rest.
my God. That is
Yeah.
no, that's really good. Any final words that you would like to share with anybody?
Um, choose you and watch everything else choose you too. Keep yourself at the top of your priority list. Stay active, stay moving, stay motivated. Feed your mind, feed your spirit, feed your soul with the things that you love and enjoy. And everything to me is centered around movement. Anything that is not moving or growing, it is dying. So keep yourself in motion.
I love that. I love that. Where can people find you, Jasmine?
Oh, y'all can find me on the Instagram at the Jasmine Reynolds _ That's where I hang out the most. I do have other platforms, but if you want to check me out, kind of see my journey, everything is on my page. Though I do social media marketing, messaging, you probably won't find that the way you may find it on some other gurus' pages, because that's just not how I roll. But I like to speak to my audiences authentically through who I am. Remember, I am all about magnifying your message and connecting with your audience on a very authentic level, and turning those clients into paying clients, potential clients into paying clients without ever having to sell. I am the type of person where I really believe that I'm going to show you my journey and show you what I'm doing. If you want to be a part of what I'm doing, you'll reach out.
Yeah, Jasmine had me cracking up on her page too sometimes. Jasmine had me rolling. I'm like, she is so crazy. Jasmine say stuff that people wish they could say or people would love to say. She just
Yeah.
said it for you. So I absolutely love Jasmine's page. Very authentic. And
Yeah.
it's her personality. And I
Yes.
absolutely love it. So I put everything down in the show notes. And Jasmine, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with me and chat with everybody this week. And I hope that women start to look at how they've been looking at their bodies and how
Yes.
to start appreciating them you
Mhm.
know on their journey. So thank you so much and I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, I'll check you later.
All right.
All right.